For over 18 months now, Mentor Pop Progress and Pangolin fellows have been trained and have implemented conservation projects to better the plight of pangolins in the Central African sub-region. They are brought together by the US Fish and Wildlife Service and the Zoological Society of London. They converged recently in Yaoundé for their closing ceremony. What are they all about?
Mentor Pop is a collaborative program. Actually, it's a progress on pangolin that was put in place by the US Fish and Wildlife Service and the Zoological Society of London with the objective of trying to, first of all, build a transdisciplinary team of Central African and Asian young professionals. And the idea was to have a voice for this very unique species called pangolins, and which they are mammals, but nobody ever thought, when you look at them, think they are mammals. That was the first objective. Second objective was that we should be able to monitor these animals in the field. The third objective was that the demand for it should be understood. What are people looking in these animals? And the last objective was what is the laws governing it. And the big thing was, when all this happens, can we be able to fight the threats that are facing these animals?
Coming from Cameroon, Gabon, Vietnam and the DRC, they are spread in 3 groups: field assessment, legal systems and demand reduction actions groups. They talked to Hello Cameroon about their tasks.
I am of the Field Assessment Action Group of Mentor Pop. We had as objective to work on the biology and ecology of the pangolin. So we visited 3 national parks together with MINFOF. We were very well received by those on the field.
We were called upon in the Legal Systems Action Group to address threats to pangolin. Specifically, we have to ensure that law enforcement strategies are effectively put in place to ensure the survival of pangolins in the wild. So far, my group and I, my team and I, a team of 3, have been able to work on the field and collect data on pangolin skills, and we've been able to assess this data by reviewing the laws of Cameroon, and through the material gotten from the reviews, finding the gaps in those laws, we've been able to assess what the actual threats to pangolins are in the light of law enforcement.
The Demand Reduction Action Group was at the head of the first ever Pangolin Awareness Week in Cameroon. We were aided by the United States Embassy, and we had a stand at Promote where we helped people to orientate them, to tell them much about the pangolin. Also, we did bushmeat surveys, urban surveys in Ebolowa and Betwa, and we were trying to have a view of the behavior and the attitudes that urban people have towards the consumption of bushmeat. And from the results we conducted, the results showed that pangolin meat is the second most preferred bushmeat species, and we see that if we continue the rate at which the consumption is going on, given that it's already facing a lot of international trafficking, if we go on with the rate at which we are consuming it, that means that the species is going to face extinction.
Like every other endeavor in life, all has not been rosy, as these fellows faced enormous challenges getting group tasks done. A case in point is the Legal Systems Actions Group.
We faced enormous challenges. For instance, getting statistics from court was not easy. It was so cumbersome. Most often you will not find magistrates or registrars on seat to give you statistics from the court. So most often we'll go there once or twice before we could get statistics. Secondly, we discovered that collaboration between stakeholders who are involved in wildlife law enforcement was not the best. Thirdly, traveling cost or traveling expenses was so difficult because to reach our destinations where we were going was so easy. The road network was not at the best. At times we spent 2 or 3 days on the way. At times before we even arrive where we were going to, the people will not be on seat.
Notwithstanding, they, like their colleagues, rose above the challenges, registered successes, and proposed some recommendations.
So far, we've been able to identify that there's very low capacity. Capacity needs to be improved for wildlife law enforcement officials, both MINFOF agents and the judiciary. We need to work on that. We also need to make sure that the law is implemented to the latter. We have to make sure that there should be no compromise in implementing the law. For recommendations, we want the Cameroon government and LAGA to work in close collaboration, because these traffickers take advantage of the fact that the MINFOF guys are a little bit lax when it comes to recovery. And since traffickers are not being affected from the proceeds that they are making from trafficking, I think they still have the capacity to fuel the trade, and the minimal sanctions, which is just 3 years maximum imprisonment, does not really have an impact on them and the finances they are making from that.
In relation to our successes, well, today we can proudly say that we have made available data on the ecology of the pangolin, given that it is a difficult species to study. As recommendation, I would love to say that much still needs to be done. What we have done in Cameroon can be replicated elsewhere in the Central African sub-region.
We have encountered a lot of successes because when we had a stand at Promote, there were people who never knew anything about the pangolin. Some people were even surprised that the pangolin is protected. But at the end of the 1 week we had at Promote, we had a lot of feedback because people responded to us on our Facebook page. We would like to call upon researchers and other conservation organizations to replicate the surveys in different urban areas, so that we shall have a robust database that can help to orientate behavior change and demand reduction strategies in future.
Though the program has come to a close today, more is still expected of the trained fellows.
Today, almost everybody is talking about pangolins. When we began, even at our level of our ministry, they were like, what are you people talking about? We have the giant pangolin that is on. But the other ones, we said, no, there are problems. And today, they are championing conservation in Central Africa. Our country is the leader, our country is ahead, and today we see that the pangolin is not only protected, but everybody knows about it. The goal of this program was not just training people for training's sake. That's why our training is very, very special. We are training professionals so that they go and do action. So we are actually going to send them to the field. We are going to support them to be able to get jobs in conservation. We are going to help them to do personal initiatives, to develop initiatives in conservation, so that tomorrow in their life, as they live, as they have a career, pangolins are also benefiting.
As we wish them well, they equally salute us.